Go ahead, locals. We don't want to bust your.
What are you seeing out of Minnesota this time?
Yeah.
After already playing them once about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, for us, it's they can play a couple different ways. They can go bigger with Payne in the game. Obviously, you got to be prepared for people to go smaller against you with Zach and trying to expose you, but they also don't like at the other end being small. So like with Payne at the center versus Garcia being at the center, where they really try to drag you out and bring Zach out of it. So we just got to be prepared for both ways. But obviously they got a huge road win at Ohio State, and when you're dealing with Garcia and you're dealing with Battle and Cooper, those three guys, we got to do a good job of keeping Cooper out of the paint. He's he's a good passer, but then Battle is so dangerous. He can go for 30. Garcia scored 20 against us last year when he was at North Carolina. So just knowing where those guys are, and then not having one of those other guys, have a career night against us.
You've mentioned over the last week or so about getting Trey Kaufman going.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
Yeah, he's got to play better. He's got to go in the game and not turn the ball over. He's got to go in the game and not foul. I talked to him about it and just said, to your defense, you are backing up the best player in the country right now. And so a little bit of it's that, but a lot of it in terms of just being able to play and get that 10 to 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, you got to go in and be productive. And he's got some bad calls against him leading up to our last game. In our last game, he didn't get bad calls. He just, he fouled and turns it over, and he's just got to do a better job. And it's an art. It's a hard thing to do, to come in and be ready to go, coming off the bench. But he's done a really good job of it, this whole year up until the last, 3 games or so. Just has to keep things simple. When you go through that little bit of a rut, getting into a game and just being simple and trying to get a positive play right away so you can build some confidence.
The explosion of Braden Smith, his growth. What have you seen from him since you've got him here?
Yeah, just a good player. Obviously he was hurt, so he didn't do anything in the summer besides rehab stuff, and very competitive, such a good passer. He can really pass. He makes other people better. But give credit to his parents, give credit to his high school coach. He showed up that way. Just a really, really good leader and a guy that makes other people better.
There's so much expectation around your program.
Mm-hmm.
How do you embrace that with these guys right now?
Yeah, just have fun. This year's actually great because nobody pays attention to us before the season because we're not supposed to be good. But those people don't set the narrative. Your hard work in the summer and what you do as a collective group when adversity sets in is really what sets the narrative. And that's the tough piece, right? Because we, as a program, feel like we got more than 5 starters. So it's hard to keep everybody happy, but you got to keep the main objective, locked in, and that's winning. And everybody on our team has to sacrifice. And I think that's been the fun part of this, is that we've had some guys, step up on different nights, but we've also had a lot of guys sacrifice and help us win.
Coach, I think everybody in the country knew you were going to Zach at the end of that Michigan
Yeah.
State game. What makes him just so unstoppable?
Yeah, just his overall size and his skill, that combination. He's actually made really good plays at the end of the Rutgers game, into the Ohio State game, and has nothing to do with him shooting. A lot of people will beat you up when you're the best player, saying you got to take the shot, and that's not true. You got to make a good decision. At the end of the day, if you don't get a shot in those situations, you just feel sick to your stomach. You feel real close to that if you get a bad shot, but at least you got a shot and gave yourself a chance to rebound. But when you get good shots in those situations, you've got a great chance for it to go in, but you also are giving yourself a chance to rebound the basketball, and that's what you want.
Is there any team out there that can guard him?
Yes, without question. There is. And that's what he's got to keep and understand. St. Peter's bottled him up and he turned the ball over 5 times. Some people have just doubled him to where he's got to be a passer, and then our guys have stepped up and made shots or haven't made shots, and no one's trying to miss a shot, right? So as long as we stay process-based and make good decisions and take good shots, you can live with it. Because when you take good shots and you get people in rotations and you miss them, you still got a chance to rebound the basketball. The play's not over.
What's been so special about Fletcher, especially in this last week?
Just his ability to kind of recover in games. He's had great second halves. As a young player, you normally play better at home. You normally play better in first halves. And he's really played well in second halves, and he's really played well on the road. So it just kind of shows you that, he embraces the moment, and he's not scared. and he's not run from it. Like when you don't have the experience of being in those situations, it normally takes you a while to adjust. But with him, it doesn't. You know, he kind of seizes the moment and goes after it.
What does winning Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week do to a freshman like that's confidence?
Well, he's already really confident. So that's how he got the award. He got the award because he's a good player, but he's also sure of himself. You know, I think anytime you get individual awards, it's because your team wins too. And so you got to do good things, obviously, but you got to do things, you know, well collectively. And I think that's what our team's been able to do. But no, give Fletch credit. He really deserves all those honors.
Is this the best place to play as far as the fan base that you've seen? I mean, it's crazy how this place just explodes when you guys play here.
Yeah, but there's also a bias because I haven't been on the other side. You know what I mean? So
And you're happy to have that.
Yeah, no question. And so, like, the other side, you know, for me, you know, going into those places, you know, like Indiana or like Rutgers or Michigan State or Ohio State, the beat goes on. They're all tough. You know, that's a hard component for everybody. So I know on the flip of it, you don't feel that when you're playing at home. You don't feel what they feel. You know, you're just trying to get your team ready. But you definitely feel it when you're the one that's on that other bench.
Coach, you hit 400 wins. What does that say about your career, especially here at Purdue recently?
I just think it says we've had a lot of good players, you know, and we've got a lot of good coaches. And that's what we've tried to do is just build a good program. And anybody can have a good team. You know, but can you consistently have good teams? And that's what a good program's about, while doing things the right way and graduating your guys. And so our blueprint's been easy, you know, strictly stolen from Gene Cady. We stole it right from him, but that's the way it was for him. Like, you know, the more discipline you have, the more fun you have. And that's what we want, you know, getting the right guys in here, because we want this to be enjoyable. You got to stay on edge, you got to be competitive, but you also, you know, this should be the best time of your life.
A lot's been made of Zach's offense, but just defensively, with his presence, you turn a lot of
Right.
teams into jump shooting teams. How big of a factor is that?
Yeah, you know, just trying to get those tough twos. You know, we'll mess with our ball screen defense. He's done a really good job doing a lot of small things in ball screen defense and post defense, and just kind of sticking to his rules and what he's supposed to do, but not, you know, not having the unnecessary fouls, not reaching, not doing silly things, not going for an offensive rebound and you get boxed out, and then just continuing on and just fouling somebody unnecessarily. So, you know, you learn after you've played just to have that discipline. You know, you learn to stay in games, you know, for him, and just stay big, but also just trying to get other teams into tough twos. It's not just our recipe. There's a lot of, you know, other schools out there trying to do the same thing that we're doing. But, you know, I think sometimes if you can get them into that, especially low clock situations, they take the bait more than anything. And we want those runners, those floaters, those dribble around, you know, tough ones. We did some switching in the last game when they would go to their snake, and, you know, Walker really made some tough shots with that. So we just kind of live with that. You don't like it, but it's also kind of a necessary evil. It's not a dunk, it's not a layup, it's not a wide open three. And so, you know, he made his pay right there, but he also scored on our guards too. And so it wasn't like he just scored when Zach switched on him. So you got to give him credit. He was 0 for 7 in the previous game. We knew how dangerous he was. He's beat us before in the last second shot. And he really did it again, you know, with that shot that he made with about 10, 12 seconds.
You talked about how inexperienced Zach is as far as a basketball player. Could you imagine being in a batter's box with him on the mound or in a hockey rink?
Yeah,
against
well, it
him?
depends on how hard he throws. You know, I've never seen the gun.
You weren't scouting him as a baseball
Yeah,
player.
exactly. I've never seen that, but I would guess he would be a goalie, right? I don't think he would be, you know, great out there in the middle of the ice. So, but.
Coach, how does Fletcher compare to other, in terms of how much you trust him as a freshman to
Right.
make those deep shots?
Well, they've all been good shots. You know, he's the one he made against Ohio State was a step-in three. The one he made against Rutgers was a step-in three. He's also made some tough pull-ups, you know, late in games. It hasn't been last-second shots, but it's been late in games. Then against Michigan State, he had a couple of really nice drives under 5 minutes. So you earn your trust. You know, he's a guy that works really hard, and he's very intelligent. He knows what's going on. He takes in what you give him. So if you talk about personnel, you talk about rotations, like he's clued in. Like he knows what's going on.
David Jenkins came in, played way more because of the three guards and foul trouble.